Keep quiet. Hello, everyone.
Hello, ma.
Good afternoon, ma.
Good afternoon, ma.
Sorry for the delay due to some technical.
No problem, we understand, ma.
Okay. So we will start off right away. We were discussing specialized theories. Specialized. Kindly mute. Please mute your mic. Mute your microphones. Okay, that's better. Okay. I'm not the host, so I will be able to admit people in. Last time we were discussing specialized theories. Specialized theories. Who can explain to me what is meant by specialized theory? What is the meaning of specialized literary theories? What do I mean by specialized? Good afternoon.
Specialized theories are theories that address specific aspects of the society, unlike the other ones that address every part. These ones address some sect of the society.
Can you give us an example?
Like Marxist theory, it affects the workers in the workplace. Feminist theory affects the women in the society. So yeah.
Oh my God, I'm very happy. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, that is exactly what it is. Unlike other theory, I told you there are three broad theories, okay? And they are the foundation critical theories of literary art. They are modern critical theories of literary art. If you want to analyze literature, drama, or novel, these are the critical theories that you will use, that will give you the approach, the specific approach from which you can address your topic. Okay? Remember, I told you that in everyday life, even in your normal living, if you have a critical mind, and that is what I'm training you. I'm training you to have critical minds. If you have critical minds, you will be broad-minded. You will be able to look at issues from different perspectives. You know, there is always an argument when people misunderstand themselves. They will say, it depends on the way you see it. I did not see it that way. Yeah, I did not see it that way. Now, the point is that if you are broad-minded, you will be able to look at issues from different angles before you can now get the meaning or take decisions. So critical theories, they are like that. If you want to understand the full meaning of a play, it may be good that you look at it from different perspectives. But the fact remains that for every particular work, there is a theory that is the main, that offers you the major critical perspective. But if that play is profound in its thought, if the theme is profound, it can render itself to two or more critical perspectives. You will see that such a play is very profound, is rich in meaning. So that these are sociological theories. We call it sociological theories, not sociological theory, because there are many angles to it. Okay, some say that drama is an imitation of life. Like people like Plato, not Plato, Aristotle and others that say that art is imitation of life. There are a group that say that drama is a representation of ordinary characters in ordinary circumstances. Looking at the peasant, this thing, it is still society. Some say that drama mirrors the day-to-day happening in the society, meaning the incidences in the society is now the content of that. These are all sociological theories. Another group says that drama captures the socio-political, economic, religious realities of the time. That whatever is happening in politics, whatever is happening in religion and all that other aspects of the society, that is what drama captures. Okay. Another group of people are more interested in the realism. They say that drama is a representation of real people in real circumstances, meaning it is representing people as everybody know it, people with one head, two eyes, two legs, and not people with two heads, four hands, four legs, and a tail. So all these things they're talking about the society and theater, society in relation to theater. And that's why you call them sociological theories. Sociological theories, like I told you, are different from social theories of society. Social theories of society that are propounded by sociologists. The one I'm talking about is a critical perspective for the analysis of drama, for the analysis of drama, for the analysis of drama, and even theater, because they are art. They are apart from theories. Another broad group of theories are psychological theories. In fact, psychological theory is like the opposite of sociological theory, because while sociological theory focuses on the external social forces in the society, psychological theories, you know, emphasize the inner reality, the soul state, the mental state of man. It captures that is not known, what they call the psychological realism. Psychological realism. And so they believe that what is still want to realism. And so they believe that what is still want to, you have to go back and read the underneath realism, that it is that is underneath that is reflecting the what you see, and that what is being reflected may be false, may be false. And so why sociological theories addresses the external truth, psychological theories psychological theories address internal truth, the soul state, the unconscious reality, the subconscious life. And that means relating the work of art to the artist, to the artist, to the artist. Now, the broad theories are the formalist theories. The formalist now focuses on the work of art itself. He sees the work of art as a self-subsistent entity that can mean on its own, that it does not need reference to society or to the artist in order to give meaning. That if you want to know the meaning of the play, don't go to the society as sociological theories tell us. Don't go to the playwright. Don't come and ask what do you mean in Adugo? The Adugo play is there to tell you what it means on its own. And so I like formalist theories very much, because when I'm taking a formalist perspective, I don't need the playwright, I don't need the director, I don't need anybody. I will look at the work and interpret what the work says. That is another perspective. That's another perspective. But There are other theories. Read and response is another group of theories. We did not do that. And then performance theories. Okay, performance theories. We may not bother much about it because our topic is on dramatic literature. Okay, it's on literature. So we are treating feminism and Marxism. They are specialized theories. They call it Marxist theory. They call it feminist theory because they are specialized theories. They are specialized theories. Society. Why Marxist focuses on people in their workplace, the social relationship of workers in their workplaces. Feminist theories focuses on women in gender relation in the society. Now, I think I've done justice to Marxist theories before we concluded our class last time. Today, I will concentrate on feminism and feminist theater. Feminism and feminist theater. Feminism are feminist theories of art. Feminist theories of art. I think where I stopped was in womanism. Womanism. Can somebody summarize what I said about womanism so that I know where to start? Let somebody summarize what I said about womanism before we stop last time. Are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Somebody should refresh our memory on what we said about womanism. I radical feminism, liberal feminism, and then womanism.
Yes, ma'am. You said womanism theory. Those ones say that they are not, they don't hate men. They support men. They believe that we support each other in the society. So they are not regarded as second-class citizens, that they are also useful in the society. So that is why they call them women. They support bearing child. They are not against carrying pregnancy, breastfeeding, and doing all of those things. That they agree that it is their work that they should do it. But at the same time, they don't hate men. They don't hate the association of men, and they have nothing against men.
Ah, you tried though, but the aspect that you say that they are not treated as second-class citizens, it's not true. Womanism is also about the oppression of women. They agree with feminists that women have been oppressed over the years. But the point is that it is an African, we call it feminism in the African context. Feminism in African context. After the wave of radical feminism, African women and women of color in the US, they agitated against the exclusiveness of radical feminism, women exclusiveness of radical feminism, the non-inclusion of men, the non-inclusion of men. They said African women and other women of color, especially African women, they said no, that concept of being on our own without any relationship with the men, that it cannot work in the African society. Because in African society, we live in communion. We live a communal life. We believe in the cyclical of existence, that existence is in cyclical, meaning you are there because I'm here because you are there. And so we cannot live without the men. Women cannot just live. In fact, women, we find it difficult to even gain freedom without carrying men along. But they believe that women are oppressed, that African women are oppressed in all angles, as girl child, as wives, as mothers, that the women are oppressed. But they said, in our fighting for liberation in Africa, we cannot exclude the men, and we cannot target men as our opponent. African womanism is an African the African context of feminism. You can call it a contextualized feminism. Okay, the African perspective on feminism. They say that in our strategies for liberating women from oppression, we cannot kill the men. We cannot target the men as the enemy to track down, to crush, and to destroy. And that is what you have in radical feminist theater. Take up any play that is written from the radical feminist perspective. You will see that at the end of the day, the male antagonist will either die or crushed or destroyed or dethroned. Africa is not ready for that kind of embattled and violent relationship with men. What African feminism, which we call womanism, is saying that man and woman in Africa, they live in communal life. That the relationship should move from the oppressive relationship, from man on top of woman syndrome, which we see in African patriarchal society, to a complementary kind of relationship based on fairness and equity, based on fairness and equity, where everyone is seen as important. Womanism also believes, just like liberal feminism, that it is the society that is the number one enemy, because it is the society that interprets what they mean by man and what they mean by woman. Although man and woman are biological terms, man because he has the male genital organs, woman because she has the female genital organs. So man and woman, man and woman are biological terms, but it is now the society that interprets what it means to be a man and what it means to be a woman. And so for them, a man is this, is hard, is intelligent, is hardworking, is the breadwinner, is this, is that, and must be on top, must be number one. For them, the woman must be submissive. She has no brain. She cannot have economic independence. She has no power to engage in external, in public life and all that. It is the society that interprets what it means to be a man and what it means to be a woman in a particular society. And so all these things are enshrined in the people's culture and tradition, which are perpetuated over the years, over the centuries. And they have come to be regarded as normal, as sacrosanct. And so what a society sees as manhood, manhood is the qualities of being a man in a particular society. And so we call manhood and womanhood, we refer to them as social construct. Social construct, that is, qualities concocted by the society and imposed on male and imposed on man and woman, okay, that make them male and female. This social construct imposed by the society on a biological man is what makes him a male, and they refer to it as his masculinity, his manhood. These are the things that make you a man, and so you must live by it. And you hear them telling them, say, be a man, meaning live up to what the society say you should be. And unfortunately, most often, the people they are referring to are not really like that. and then you see them being praised. Female, they social value and heap it on a woman and pressure the woman to live like that. You know, these are what you should do as a woman in a particular society. And they call it female qualities. Feminists refer to them as femininity, being feminine, being feminine. Being feminine, you must be, you must not voice out your opinion, you must not assert your right. In fact, you have no right to assert, okay? You will only listen, you are not supposed to be heard, you are not supposed to be on top of a man, you should not be in charge of a place where a man is, because patriarchy is man on top of woman syndrome. If you read Our Husband Has Gone Mad Again, Lejoka Brown, who mistakenly, I will call it mistakenly, married Lisa, although he married her outside Nigeria. He married Lisa, who is a medical doctor. And on coming back to Yoruba land, he said, hey, this woman, Lisa, when he graduated as medical doctor and they call us for function, we then now say, ladies and gentlemen, here I introduce to you Dr. Lisa, Kiniko, physician, and with with Mr. Lejoka Brown, a cocoa farmer. The man said, oh, God forbid. And he started struggling to acquire some chieftaincy title and to hold political positions so that he will have names like Senator, Chief, Alaji, to match with Lisa's medical titles. And so that is man on top of woman syndrome. He has that pressure by society that he must be the number one in everything, when in reality, it is not so. And so feminists believe that we are what we do and what we become. We are what we do and what we become. And nobody, either man or woman, should be prevented from being the other. A man may be a man, he may not have brain, he may not know how to think. The woman may have a deeper thought, a higher IQ. These are realities. And so womanism is like liberal feminism, but it insists on working in close partnership with the men. The system, the strategy for women liberation, according to womanists, is that of harmonization. That of harmonization, where differences can be harmonized so that man and woman can complement each other. And they favor the process of education, just like liberal feminism. The process of education of women and conscientization of men. Conscientization, that is speaking to the consciences of men. The fact that this unequal social relationship favors the male should not prevent them from seeing the injustice inherent in it. And so women speak to the consciences of men to reconsider the oppression inherent in patriarchy, inherent in unequal gender relations, and to also champion justice and fairness in gender relations. It is also the task of the men in Africa to champion gender equity and to be gender sensitive in all their doings. For example, before the 1970s, it was male who are in literature, in drama, in novel, in poetry. They are the people given the world, the picture of women in Africa. And if you read the plays of Wolo Soyinka, for example, and you read the novels of Chinua Achebe and the poems of Otara, all those our forerunners in literary world, you will see the way they paint women, the way they paint women. In fact, in Shoyinka's plays, it's as if a woman is not there. There is no female main character. And where females are given strong role to perform, it is either bottom power or prostitute or a woman who is learned and therefore is not good for marriage. That is the kind of picture of African woman being painted in African plays, even in Nigerian plays. Achebe's novel is even worse. Women are there and as secondary human beings, well subjugated and marginalized. When the giant Ikolo, is played, it's just for the men. It's for men who are men. Women rarely gather with men to discuss national issues. It is believed that women have no place in politics, that their life and their nature, that they are not meant for public life. And so in all the public life portrayed in African novel, in African drama, in African literature, you will see that the men are there. It's all male protagonists. Just look at the plays of Soyinka, look at the novels of Chinua Achebe. You will understand what I'm saying. And so this kind of painting the other person's picture, women rejected it. And so by 1970, as early as 1970, female voices were heard in literature. Women began to speak. They began to paint their own picture. They began to speak for themselves. And till now, we have many female playwrights, many female novelists, many female poets speaking out powerfully, painting the real picture of the African woman as is painted in Adubo, as is painted in Shadows on Arrival, and in the plays of many African female playwrights. And the list is unending without you there. You must also render your voices there. Okay, so that's womanism. Now we will look at the characteristics of feminist theater.
Question.
Feminism, many women and even men now imbibe the ideology of feminism, that women have been marginalized over the years, that gender relationship is unequal and therefore is oppressive and can no longer hold. Women said, no, this relationship cannot hold. This relationship of man on top of woman, it must be a relationship of equal opportunities. Equal opportunities. Current feminism is not talking about female body and all that as radical feminism. That agitating for equal opportunity. Let the road to fame, let it be fair, let it be open for everybody. Let the road to education be cleared. Don't put unnecessary hurdles in the way of women because they are women. Don't put glass ceiling. Don't limit the extent we will go because we are women. That is no longer tenable. Women are saying this can no longer hold. And so this kind of voice is imbibed by theater and drama. Drama welcomed this, and that is why we have feminist drama, feminist theater. Many plays are written from the feminist perspective. Many performances are done from feminist perspective. And what are the implications of the feminist theory to dramatic literature? One, the content, that is the story, is about women. Before, women's story is, they will tell you now women talk. There is never the subject of drama. Think of all the plays by Wolo Soyinka and all the novels, but it's about the story of men. Men are the heroes. They are the strong people. They are the valiant people, not women, who will have time to begin to tell the story of a woman and make it the subject matter of drama. It was from 1970s when women started writing that they now make the story about women, women issues, women problems. They centralize it as the subject matter of drama and the subject matter of theater. That is number one. If you say that this is a feminist play, it means that the story there is about women. It's about women issue. It's women related. The second, we're talking about the implication of feminist theory. Every feminist theater has a strong, assertive female character. You must write it like that. A strong and assertive female character. A strong and assertive female character. The central character of the play must be a female, a strong and assertive female character. They are the protagonists in feminist plays. In feminist theater, the woman is the central character. And not just a woman, not a woman who will cry and kneel down and will not do anything about oppression. It is a woman who is assertive, who is outspoken, who is strong, who is fair, who is strong and who is fair. Now, another characteristics or the implication is that in feminist theater, there is always the issue of gender inequality and gender of oppression. In that play, the relationship between male and female will not be on equal terms, and the women, especially the central character, will be severely oppressed, and some of the female minor characters will also be oppressed. There must be female oppression in a feminist play. There must be female oppression or women oppression in a feminist play because of the inequality in gender relation. Then the feminist theater, the characters can be divided into two: male oppressors and female oppressed. The male oppressors versus the female oppressed. That is another implication. Another serious implication is that there must be some feminine contestation, feminist contestation, meaning that the women will rise against oppression. They will challenge their oppression. They will challenge their oppression. They will no longer be comfortable and accept oppression as if it is divinely made. No. In a feminist theater, the female protagonist, strong and assertive, will be severely oppressed, will be oppressed. But as a feminist theater is concerned, she will stand up against the oppression. She will stand up against the oppression. It may not be really against the person, but against the oppression. And in doing that, and all those who are the perpetrators of that particular oppression, he will say, no, enough is enough. The female protagonist must say, no, enough is enough. And he will struggle for freedom. Struggle for, I want everybody to say, struggle for freedom.
Struggle for freedom.
Struggle for freedom.
Struggle for freedom.
Yes.
Struggle for freedom.
Yes. The women, the female protagonist who is strong and assertive and yet is oppressed will no longer take it. He will stand up to her oppressor and he will struggle for freedom. And another important thing is that if it is an ideal feminist drama, the female protagonist must excel. The female protagonist must excel. She will not go under. she will excel. She will come out triumphantly victorious from the oppression. That is an aspect that some plays omit. For an ideal feminist theater, the audience must see the female characters oppressed, and the audience must witness the liberation of the female character. They must witness her emancipation from the oppression. Otherwise, the play will just have aspects of feminist theories, and this will not be an ideal feminist theater. I think I gave you ideal feminist plays, like The Dawn of Full Moon. Although the helpless girl, Dalo, could not help herself, Obioma, who is the strong central character in that play, helped her to excel. And so the audience saw Dalo being severely oppressed and sexually exploited to the point of losing hope. But the audience, the same audience, in a wonderful way, also witnessed her triumph over oppression. And so when the play was performed, there was crying, mourning, and sadness at the beginning of the play. But towards the play, there was a joyous applause. People were very happy for that. That is an ideal feminist theater. Also, feminist theater also use simplified language. They are not interested in complicated, figurative, poetic language because the urgency of the message is their concern. They don't want the message to be lost. And so if they should begin to use poetic language, it means that the uneducated women will not understand what they are saying. And so they prefer simple, everyday language. Just the same way the Marxist language is also an uncomplicated, everyday language because they're speaking to workers. Some of them are unskilled workers, some of them are laborers, peasants, and the message is meant for them to help and liberate them from class oppression. And so if the playwright or the theater artist embark on high symbols, the message will be lost. To make sure that the message is not lost, they use simple language. Okay. Let's talk about the methods of creating a Marxist play. You see, it's just the same, it follows almost the same pattern. It's a workplace. The characters can be divided into two, the oppressed and the oppressors. And there is class inequality, which necessitates class oppression, which result in class struggle. And the class struggle leads to political revolution, leads to revolutionary change, direct revolutionary change. This is not the kind of change that the feminists agitate. The feminists believe in gradual social transformation and conscientization of men. Feminists believe in education of both male and female, in order to give rise to a gradual social transformation that will erase gender inequality. But for the Marxists, they don't have that kind of patience. So a Marxist artist wants fight to start immediately after the theater. Once you are coming out of the stage, you begin to fight your oppressors. And so there is a lot of agitation in Marxist theater. And a lot of carrying of placards, a lot of political meetings, a lot of demonstration, a lot of political agitation, and there may be violence inclusive as a means of taking over power. It's not easy to take over power from the oppressors. And so they insist on political revolution, overthrowing, using using weapons to subdue their oppressor and to usurp power from them. The strengths and weaknesses of feminist theory. Okay, first of all, many broad-minded artists see it as a parochial view, that it treats only an aspect of the society that is too ideological. Playwrights like Wolo Soyinka does not want to be biased to a particular, or to be constrained to a particular ideology. He believes that he's a humanist and is writing for the betterment of man and the society in its entirety, and not to men alone, or for women alone, or for workers alone, or for the oppressed alone. And so that is one major criticism of both feminists and Marxists. Another major criticism is that it is too ideological. There seems to be, it is too, is it not ideological, but how do they call it? That it is not very realistic, okay? That is too idealistic. Yes, that's the word, idealistic. Idealistic is that there are so many assumptions there that feminists seem to assume that once a woman is in a place, is in charge, or once a woman is empowered, that he will not behave like the male oppressor, that he will not behave like the male oppressor. They said, they point out incidents where women are even oppressing other women. And so if you now champion a critical tool that focuses on women being oppressed, what about the cases of male being oppressed by female? What about the incidences of women oppressing other women? And so they said they would prefer oppression in general, whether it is man oppressing woman, or woman oppressing man, or child oppressing adult, or adult oppressing child, instead of constraining themselves to a specialized perspective of women oppression. So that it is too idealistic, and that is too ideological, is too narrow in ideological outlook. These are the major, but the strength is the ability to centralize the issue of women, which before now had been sidelined, overshadowed, and thrown to the dustbin. You know, before, even great works done by women, nobody write about them. Nobody talk about them. You can hardly see men writing about them. But thank God for feminism. Feminism, when it started, it went to the archive, it went to the archives of history and began to write about great women achievers and the great things that women did, including the Aba Women's Riot, the Moremi, them, and other great women, Queen Amina, and other great women who have sacrificed their life, sacrificed their energy to bring about a better society. And they were sidelines, they were hidden, they were buried, and nobody hears about them. And men go on writing about men as if they are the only heroes in the society. That is a very great achievement. And another achievement, as I see it, is the bringing to the fore the need for fairness, the need to strengthen social justice, especially in the era of democracy. We cannot be living in the era of democracy and still be relating to one another as if we were in a feudal or traditional society. You cannot send your girl child to school and then expect her to stay at home and be subdued because she is a woman. Then why send her to school? Why should you give somebody a voice and deny that person's speech? It doesn't make sense. Many parents send their female children to school and still their wife are sidelined. They insist that their wife will not do anything, that their wife will not engage in public work, and yet they are training their girl children. Many girl children are not being trained. Thank God for feminism, which expose certain obnoxious practices against the woman. For example, the female genital mutilation, which cut off the clitoris to make sure that a woman does not enjoy sex. You know, the narrative is that if you allow women to enjoy sex, that they will be promiscuous. What kind of horrible something is that? So they cut off the clitoris in order to make a woman not to enjoy sex, but just to be an object for the man to satisfy himself. That is criminal. That is a criminal offense against women. And thank God for feminism that is uncovering some other obnoxious, vicious, and wicked practices against women who lost their husband. We are very happy that even male are joining us in the outcry against some unwelcome traditional practices against women who lost their husband. It is generally believed that the woman must have known what killed the man. And then the woman will be subjected to horrendous practices which the man is never subjected to. In certain cases, they wash the corpse of the man and they force the widow to drink the water. These things are real. They are real. Often they are pushed to cooking places and they stay there for days, not bathing, just in the name of mourning their husband. Thank God for feminism that is uncovering all these things, using them to write plays, to write poems, using them to write novels, and condemning them, calling society to reject such practices. And so our society will not move forward if everybody is not carried along. In African society, we live in togetherness. But personally, I have to say this, and this is very personal to me. I am a womanist to the core. I am a womanist, and all my active. I'm a womanist, and I sincerely believe that even as we fight for the freedom of women from oppression, we must also not oppress the male. Our freedom from oppression must not mean the oppression of men. I don't believe in it. I don't like that. Because, for example, the cry against sexual harassment now is being taken to ridiculous levels, which will really estrange the male from among us. And unfortunately, the male, they have no mouth to talk. And even when they talk, they say, it's because he's a sexual harasser. It's because he's a rapist. And because of that, vicious elements are exploiting that to oppress men, to subdue men. And I don't believe in subjugation of anybody, male or female. I don't believe in the oppression of anybody, male or female. For example, the last time we traveled for conference, a man just genuinely asked a woman, how was your night? He took an offense. He said, my night is my private affair. Why do you want to know how my night was? That is sexual harassment. Sure. The man was like, sexual harassment because I asked you how was your night. So I think we are taking it to a ridiculous level. And to me, as an African, I don't believe you can dress anyhow, that how I dress is my concern, that what is your concern? Don't look at me, how I dress. That is not true. I believe that the issue of oppression, harassment should be broadly looked into. Well, you know, I'm a theorist. I'm broad-minded. It should be looked holistically, especially in African society, where we believe that what you do affects my life. and how I do affects your life. And so we should not imbibe the Western view of it is my life, I will live it out. That's a Western view because their view of existence is linear, but our view of existence is cyclical, it's all inclusive. And so I cannot say, from African perspective, your life is not your own. You cannot live your life anyhow. You can do that in the Western world because for them, they live an individualistic life. Individualism. You live your life, you die your death, nobody cares. It is the state that now takes the responsibility. But for us, we live in close communion with one another. And so let's not go about naked, dressing our children half naked, and then look out for a man if he wishes. So we say sexual harassment. If he looks at what we expose, we say sexual harassment. I like the way Unilag is approaching it. Unilag approaches it holistically. Unilag has a code for dressing. Dress code, we call it dress the way you want to be addressed. And then Unilag has a policy on sexual harassment. Two of them must go together. For an African woman to be voicing Western concept that is my body, I can do what I like with it, I can dress anyhow, it does not give you an opportunity to harass me. Don't put that in the mind of your girl children in Nigeria, in Africa, because that will expose them to a lot of harassment. I believe that the way a person dressed cannot be used as a reason for harassment in court or when the deed is done. But as a preventive measure, we must preach that. We must preach that people should dress well so as to ward off any chance of harassment. And so what I'm preaching as a womanist is that we must live in communion. And when we live in communion, since I'm an advocate of gender complementarity, I must also warn us that we must behave in a way that we foster that complementarity. Thank you very much. And when you look at the plays that we have under feminism, we have Ibsen's Doll's House. It's a radical feminist perspective where Dora, being treated as a doll by her parents, transferred to her husband, take a decision and walk out of the matrimonial home and slam the door against the damn house and walked out of the family. Onweme's Wazobia is also a radical feminist perspective. It's radical feminism because women united and then they supported women to the detriment of the male. Is women communal action, women communal action. But Onweme's own is not as radical as that of Ibsen. Onweme just used the technique of women collective action. It's not an individualistic. Many female playwrights believe that women are not so empowered as to stand alone against oppression, that there is need for women to come together and form a formidable force against oppression. But people like me, I believe in women collective action, yes, and also I believe in women individualistic opposition of corruption. But for such women, I advise that they be empowered, especially educational empowerment. The education of women is one of the best ways to empower the woman and to change her status from the subjective, subdued position to a dignified position in the society. Then we have, what are the plays under feminist? Okay, we have Rotimi's Husband Has Gone Mad Again. We started with radical view and then ended is a good example of liberal humanism, liberal feminism, the concept of empowerment. Lisa empowered all other women there. And Lisa's point of view is all inclusive. It's both liberal and womanist, because Lisa did not destroy her home. He also conscientized the husband and empowered all other women and lived happily with her husband. What other play? Okay. Ezenwanebe, Sadudo, and the Dawn of Full Moon, and Shadows and Egg, they're all womanist in perspective with strong, assertive female characters. I like the woman in Shadows on Arrival, a traditional woman, and yet very womanist, saying no to oppression and using all those subservient qualities to her advantage, turn them to her strength. That is the way of African woman. Okay, thank you very much. And
Question, ma.
eh,
Yes, ma.
okay, let me take some questions before we go back to your assignment.
Yes, ma. According to your explanation about womanism and liberal feminism, it seems they have a lot in common. So I want to ask: are there any major differences between liberal feminism and womanism? Thank you, ma.
Um, well, the difference is that the emphasis, liberal feminism may not really pay so much emphasis on gender inclusivity. Gender inclusivity. It may pay more attention on empowering the woman, helping the woman to gain self-actualization, to gain voice, to be strong enough to subdue oppression, either as a collective action or as an individual action. But womanism pay close attention to family life. Their perspective is also familial. You know, the Africans can't do without the family. The family is the nucleus of African communal life. And then with childbearing, these are the qualities that liberal feminists may not really be concerned with as the woman struggles for emancipation. Okay, are you okay?
Yes, thank you, ma.
Yeah. Any other question? Did you type any question?
Yes, ma, there's a question in the chat box.
Okay, let me look at it. When women oppresses women, can it be called feminism? For example, in Egg Without Yolk, some of the women were oppressing Udemma because she was not yet a mother. Yeah, in this case, for you to understand what is happening there, you have to apply psychological criticism. Why are the women behaving like that? They are just rehearsing long years of their own oppression. They are just rehearsing long years of their own oppression. And so the society has forced down these notions to their subconscious life, and they have come to see it as the reality. Okay, they have come to see it as the reality. And so in actual fact, they are voicing out what the society wants, what the society wants. And that is why there is need for consciousness raising. That is why in Wazobia, some women embark on teaching other women, you know, trying to make them understand, like the Omu, who is the head of women, who is championing the operation of Wazobia. It's a woman. So other women gathered to help her gain consciousness. And once she gained consciousness, she came to the side of Wazobia, and victory was assured. And so now I look at those women, I take an underneath approach to ask myself, why are those women behaving like that? You will see that they are just rehearsing, living out what they have, what had been subdued in them for years. So that is I don't want to call it that women are oppressing women. If women understand what they are doing, certainly they will change the oppression. But men, they know that it's oppression, but because it's to their own interest, they even use women to even achieve their oppressive aim.
Okay, ma. Thank you, ma.
Yeah. Any other question? Remember, please read out what I gave you for your presentation.
Discuss the concept of oppression from three different critical perspectives.
From three different critical perspectives. You can now listen, mute your mic so that you listen. One, I think I will start. Okay, I think Hilda has solved the problem. I would have said I would have loved us to do it physical PowerPoint presentation, whereby we space out and observe the COVID-19 protocol. Since your exams will be physical, I don't see why the exam of 40 marks should not be physical. So because it was costing me a lot in terms of data to do the lectures and then upload it, but I think somebody has helped out. I would have proposed that we do a physical presentation, PowerPoint presentation. Two, remember you must come and register your play. Okay, you write down your name and you write down the text you will use to analyze. You will not select text outside the ones given for the course. You cannot select a play outside the ones given for the course. The reason is that it will all the plays, right from performance studies, all the play, or you can use two plays, or you can use the same play. And so once you come and register your play, if another person comes, the person cannot use those plays. Now, the third point, you cannot use all foreign plays or all African plays. It must be at least one foreign play and one African play, or one foreign play and two African plays. Remember, you write the seminar paper. The seminar paper should be well detailed, well researched, correct paper. Then you will write a PowerPoint that you can present within 10 to 15 minutes. I think preferably, if you know what to say, 10 minutes. How many are you in class?
28.
Yes, ma, 28.
Huh?
28.
28.
But one person is
You are 28. And so if we
we're
even
supposed
say
to be
10 minutes,
29,
that
but
will be
we are 28
220
actually now. We
minutes.
don't know what happened to the
And 220 minutes is how many hours? Divided by 60.
That'll be 3 hours.
3 hours something.
That'll be 3 hours, 40 minutes, yes.
Okay, we can still contain
3
this in a
hours.
day. It must 3 hours, 40 something minutes or 50 something minutes,
Yes,
nearly
ma,
4
40
hours.
minutes.
So we can do 2 hours, go on break and do 2 hours, and then have our correction. It's always a tedious day, the day of my seminar presentation. And so you write your PowerPoint to be presented in 10 minutes. And then you write your seminar paper from where you will earn 20 marks.
ma. Ma,
Okay.
are we going to do the presentation on virtual or we are doing physical, ma?
You know, when you people decide, you tell me. I think I would prefer, personally, I would prefer physical presentation where it's an exam. where we will spread out in our faculty as room with all COVID-19 protocols observed. But if you feel otherwise, we can do blended, where those who cannot join us can present. But I pray they know how to use PowerPoint on Zoom. Okay, here is where we will stop. Those of you who have not gotten my place, try and do that. That's the only way you can encourage your lecturer. Thank you and God bless you.
Question
Thank
now.
you. Question.
Okay, you said something I wasn't particularly clear. You said that we cannot, choose place outside of the place, that we're using in the
Yes, you
course.
cannot use place outside the ones recommended for the course, because I must know the place and it will help other people to also understand the place that are recommended. A
At
lot
the
of
same,
places were recommended, many of them.
but at the same time, you said that two people cannot choose one place. I mean, don't you
Two
think
people
that
cannot use.
um,
Two people cannot
don't
use the same place. Come and register your own. Forget about those who will register late. They will find a way around it.
okay, ma.
For example, you have to choose the critical perspective. The critical perspective you choose may not be the critical perspective another person chooses and all that.
All right.
I just say the concept of operation from any three critical perspectives. So it depends on the critical perspective you are choosing, and that will determine more so the place you will use.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.